Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Cars. My name is Barry and today we are going to be chatting about one of the most talked about cars in 2019. That is the Ferrari SF90 Stradale. This is it's quite a how should we put it, revolutionary car for Ferrari. It's a step in a direction that's basically all manufacturers or supercar, sports car, even normal car manufacturers are going to have to take, and that is the electric route. Now I am a big naysayer of electric cars. I don't like it. I don't like them at all, but luckily this isn't a purely electric car, because what this is Ferrari's first production hybrid car. It's the first hybrid they made or are making with a V8 too. Now SF90 Stradale, SF refers to Scuderia Ferrari, 90 refers to the 90th anniversary of the Scuderia Ferrari, not the road car Ferrari, but more the racing team Ferrari as well. SF90 is also the car of the name of the 2019 Formula 1 car, so that you can sort of see the connection of that. Stradale simply means road, so it's basically the Ferrari race car for the road, if you like to look at it that way. Now let's talk engine specs, shall we? Because the numbers on this car is quite frankly ridiculous. 0 to 100 takes 2.5 seconds. 0 to 200 takes 6.7 seconds. Just think about that. It takes this car, you know, shorter to get to 200 kilometers than it takes most cars to reach 100 kilometers an hour. So it's massively fast. Top speed 340 kilometers an hour. If you were to purchase this car and test it out on the autobahns, I'm sure you'll get more than that, considering that it has 986 horsepower. That is 735 kilowatts. 769 horsepower comes from the internal combustion engine, so that's the 3.9 litre twin turbo V8 that you can find in the F8 Tributo as well. And then the rest of the power, the 217 horsepower, comes from the 3 electric motors. Now these 3 electric motors are located, 2 are located on the front axle and 1 is located between the engine and the gearbox. So collectively they produce 217 horsepower, in total 986 horsepower, which of course is about 20 odd more, about 23 more horsepower than you got from the La Ferrari, which, just to put it in perspective, you know, it's a pretty fast car, it's pretty powerful, and yeah, we will be getting a few in South Africa, I'm pretty sure about that, so hopefully I'll be able to experience one in the not too distant future when they arrive. Yes, total weight of the car, it's actually quite a heavy car if you by supercar standards. Total dry weight, no less, is 1,570 kilograms. So when you add all the fluids, you're going to be topping 1,600, closer to 1,700 kilograms, which, you know, is not light. If you consider most like a McLaren 720S, you're looking at about 1,300 kilograms more or less, very roughly. So yeah, I mean, of course the battery packs is what makes it a bit more heavier than what you would expect, but there we are, it's got the power to deal with the weight. I'm pretty sure it's going to be blindingly fast, but anyways. Transmission is an 8-speed dual clutch, not the 7-speed dual clutch that we found in the 488 and the F8 Tributo. I'm actually not sure what gearbox the F8 Tributo uses, so do correct me on that one. But the SF90 does use an 8-speed dual clutch gearbox. Now, let's talk about the electric part of the SF90 Stradale, because it's quite intriguing. The La Ferrari you could use in plainly electric, but that was like for crawling speeds and reversing and that kind of stuff. You couldn't like drive out on the public road very quickly on purely the electric power. But this, with the SF90 Stradale, you're looking at a 25 kilometer electric range with the top speed of 135 kilometers an hour if you use it purely in electric mode. Of course 135 kilometers an hour is plenty fast enough, especially on South African roads, because the speed limit is 120. So obviously nobody's going to be breaking the speed limits. But you know, 25 kilometers of range, I don't know whether to say I've expected it to have more than that, but 25 kilometers is, you know, it's reasonable. I mean, considering it's not a pure electric car, I think it's not too bad for a hybrid car. So yeah, if you just to draw a comparison, the Porsche 918 Spider had about 19 kilometers of electric range. So if you to sort of draw a comparison, about 6 years apart between these two cars, and Ferrari has topped the Porsche 918's electric range by 6 kilometers. So in that respect, you can sort of say that maybe you should expect a little bit more, but of course this isn't a purely electric car. So 25 kilometers an hour I think is perfectly enough. For me personally, I would very rarely put it in electric mode. The only reason I would put it in electric mode is just for the, you know, the eerie silence that you'd get. But otherwise, you know, just fire up the internal combustion engine. That'll be plenty exciting enough for me, absolutely. Also interesting, the SF90 is the first four-wheel drive Ferrari sports car, supercar. Of course, we had the Ferrari FF and the GTC4 Lusso that do have four-wheel drive systems, but this is the more, you know, mid-engine supercar stuff. The first one rather, that Ferrari has implemented four-wheel drive. And when you have it in purely electric mode, then it only uses the front axle. So you have either a four-wheel drive or a front-wheel drive Ferrari. Hey, who would have thought that, a front-wheel drive Ferrari? But anyways, you're not going to be doing terribly dynamic stuff with it. So front-wheel drive, really no reason why Ferrari shouldn't have only used front-wheel drive for purely the electric engine or the electric motor alone. Now, with the the SF90 Stradale, you do retain the Maranello setting. So you'll have, you know, your normal Maranello settings, your wet, your sport, your race, CT-off, and the like. But then you also have another addition. You have the E-Maranello, and this basically is where you can select how you would like the internal combustion engine and the electric motor to collaborate with each other. You have 4 different modes. You have E-Drive, which is the purely electric mode, Hybrid, Performance, and then Qualify. Now, Qualify, as you can imagine, is your more track-oriented mode or setting, where you'll have all of the electric power plus all of the internal combustion engine combined to give you the maximum amount of oomph, and basically the setting that would make you wet your pants the most. Hybrid and Performance are sort of in between. Hybrid is where your more day-to-day kind of stuff, and then Performance is your more sporty kind of, for more fun, you know, mountain passes kind of driving. So very interesting that you have the Maranello and then the E-Maranello side by side on the steering wheel. You also have a new, of course, Ferrari have their side slip control, the SSE. With the SF90 Stradale, you have your E-SSE, which obviously just incorporates the electric motors to control the traction control and that side of things of the car. Also, you have your regenerative braking. So when you lift, when you brake, if you brake, the car regenerates energy that is used during the braking and puts it back into the battery pack. And then, yeah, more energy, more electricity for you to use to scare your passenger. Also has torque vectoring. Yeah, very clever systems that are, and very new and innovative systems that are put on the this new SF90 Stradale. The interior, though, is where you have a very, very big improvement, because basically it's an all-new interior, not the same as the F8 Tributo or the GTC4 Lusso or the Portofino. This is a brand new interior, and there's a lot going on, particularly on the steering wheel. For me, looking at pictures, I think it's too much that's happening on the steering wheel. You've got your Maranello, your E-Maranello, you've got, of course, as many Ferraris have been over the last few years, you've got your indicators and your windscreen wipers, and even more is going to be placed on the steering wheel, because you have your touch screen where you can basically change the displays on your new 16-inch electric screen. The analog Ferrari rev counter is done with. They have now changed it for a more 3D effect digital 16-inch screen, which you will be able to configure, and, you know, with your satellite navigation and your, you know, entertainment and all those kind of stuff will be able to be changed from the steering wheel. And I'll put a picture on, and as you can see, there's a lot that's going to be happening. So for me, it's a bit, you know, with 986 horsepower, and if you have your steering wheel going sideways, is a bit too much that's happening on the steering wheel, in my opinion at least. Yeah, so basically there's the biggest change, I think, or biggest improvement rather, will be on the Ferrari's interior side of things, bar the steering wheel. I think it's pretty cool. Also on the steering wheel you have your pit limiter, which is your cruise control in Ferrari, obviously Formula 1 inspired, and the actual switch that you use for the for your cruise control is also Formula 1 inspired. So Formula 1 fans may find the same little knob switchy thing the same on you know, Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc's F1 steering wheel. So I think that's pretty cool. Now let's talk about the looks of the car, the aesthetics, because obviously the way a car looks is very much subjective. To me, I think the front of the car, I mean obviously Ferrari going all out with this one, completely different to any other Ferrari. Front looks pretty cool. I must admit. I think in person, obviously looking at a car from pictures, you're not going to be able to, you know, fully appreciate the car. From the front, I like the new front design of the car. From the side, you can definitely see some La Ferrari inspiration there. I think the side and the front are my favorite angles of the car, definitely. But the rear, I'm afraid I'm not a very big fan of. I don't know, it's just not very inspiring to me. It's not very attractive. I'm not a fan of Ferrari's quad tail lights on, say, the 812 Superfast and the GTC4 Lusso. I don't know, I just really don't like it. I prefer the more, you know, two singular lights at the back. But of course, looks are subjective. Maybe I'll change my opinion on the rear when I see the SF90 Stradale in person. Now, I also want to address something else, and that is the cost of the car, because from what I've heard, the SF90 Stradale is going to cost about £500,000. Now, most of my audience members are South African, so I'm going to convert that roughly into rands. That's about 9.3 million rand at the current exchange rate with the pounds. And to be honest, I doubt this car is going to come under 10, maybe 11 million rand. And that's a lot of money, hey? That is a serious amount of cash for what is a production supercar. Just remember, this is not a limited edition car. It's going to be, you know, it's a production car. They're going to be making lots and lots, thousands of these cars. And 10 million rand is pretty steep for, you know, a production car. But having said that, this car incorporates a lot of new technology. And new technology that Ferrari, I've no doubt, have put a lot of investment in. So they sort of have to recuperate the costs in that way. Of course, if you're going to option this car, you are definitely not coming under 10 million rand. I can almost guarantee that. 10.5, 11 million rand. But just to put that into perspective, obviously it's not a direct comparison, but Lamborghini Aventador S in South Africa, also, if you're speccing it, you're not going to come, base price is about 8.5, 9 million rand more or less. So if you consider that a Lamborghini Aventador specced up is also at about 10.5 million rand, either the Aventador is a bit too expensive, or, you know, if you draw those two comparisons, obviously SF90 is going to be miles faster than the Aventador, offers like 200 more horsepower. So in that respect, the SF90 doesn't seem that expensive, but still pretty pricey. And yeah. Well, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video of the new Let's Talk About Cars episode of the Ferrari SF90 Stradale. Make sure you like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. And make sure you stay tuned for more Let's Talk About Cars episodes. Bye.